Hi guys, you're welcome back to the Advanced Recyclerview series, whereby we're implementing the draggable grid into an Android application. So we've actually talked about the layout files in the first tutorial, the animator, the integers, values, and so on. Now we actually did some things right there in the main activity, and we'll be wrapping up with the Java classes so that we actually get this tested, and let's see how the draggable effect flows. So from here we'll be looking at the example data provider. Let's get our hands dirty. We're going to code, so just follow along with me. We're going to extend the abstract data provider. It's extending the abstract data provider. So for us to actually extend this, let's get to look at the abstract data provider. So let's create the structure of this particular class. It's an abstract. So let's have it done. Now let's have a constructor, or let's just have the class data. Public, static, abstract, class data. Public, abstract, long, get ID, public, abstract, boolean, in the space there, section header, public, abstract, integer data type, get view type, need another one there, or public, abstract, string this time, get text, public, abstract, void, set speed, which takes the boolean, speed. Let's have public, abstract, boolean, speed. Alright, the space is right there. That's fine. So let's have a public, abstract, integer, get count. Get count. We're gonna have another one. Public, abstract, data, get item. Let's give it a breathing space. Public, abstract, void, remove item, just going to take a parameter, integer position, public, abstract, void, item, going to take an integer from position, do last removal. That's cool. So we have our abstract provider ready. So from there we can easily get digging with the example data provider. It extends the abstract data provider. Let's have our fields, private, list, generic, concrete, data, called mdata, private, concrete, data, and last removed data. We have a private, integer, and last removed position -1. That's and so from here we're going to have a constructor, public, example, it's a provider, final, string, A to Z, A to Z, which is actually going to be A, B, C. It should be in a string. That's fine. And we're going to now call the mdata associated with the new linked lists. So a for loop, the counter integer I equals to 0. Now we're going to talk about the argument I is less than 2, I++, the iterator. So now let's get to have the body. This is a nested for loop, not a for loop. Now the integer of j equals to 0. J is less than the artille's length. That's the argument, not length. J++, iterator. So right there now we're going to have a final long, which is the ID, equals to mdata, call the size. We have another final integer, view type, equals to 0, final string, text equals to character to string plus character at j, final integer, swipe reaction equals Recyclerview Swipe Manager. Reaction can swipe up. Recyclerview Swipe Manager. Calling on reaction. Should be down this time. I think so. Yeah, down. Reaction. Swipe down. This cannot. Need a can. And this reaction. Swipe down. Okay. And we get to call the M data to add. This is to share the new concrete data. We're going to pass in the ID, view type, text, and swipe reaction. Cool. So we're going to have get count. We're still going to have some other methods. However, we're still going to talk about. Let's quickly cover the get count. Turn override. Public. Integer. Count. Turn. M data size. So let me just collapse this to have more space. Now let's override public data. Get item as integer index as the parameter. Now if the index is less than 0 or index is greater than or equals to get count. So what's going to happen? It's going to throw new index out of bounds exception. Now the body is going to be index will be equals to concatenate with index. Now I need to return M data get pass the index as parameter. Close that right there. Fine. And now we're going to have the right public integer, undo last remover method. Another if statement, if the m last removed data is not equals to null, so we're going to actually insert the position as inserted position of the grid. So another if statement, so if the m lasts removed position now is greater than or equals to 0, and 7, and m last removed position is less than, not less than, m data size. No more space. So it's actually going to call the inserted position to passing the last removed position. So it's like a swap, like updating the UI once a position is being dragged for another one. So that's just what that's doing. So else inserted position will be equals to the data size. That's just it. Not equals to null. Now the m data is to continue with the code. We're going to add inserted position m last remove data. Just that. Now m last remove data will be set to null. And the position as well will be set to a -1 as a negative. So we're going to return inserted position. Now for the outer if statement, else return the -1, which is the m last removed position. That's for the undo last remover method. Let's have for the move item. So it's going to override the parent class. Public void move item. Integer from position integer to position if this is for the movement of the item, if the from position is equals to the position, what's going to happen? You're going to return null. Now we're going to call the concrete data. Let's pronounce this. Final concrete data item equals set. So now we're going to have the M data by adding the position, and item, and also call the M last removed position and assign -1 to that. So let's have another method. We need to override this. That's we have the move item. It's going to be the swap item. It's public void swap item. Now we're going to pass into parameters. First is from position. Position. So if from position equals to position, that's the two comparison. Return. Now we're going to handle the collections for sorting. Call the collections. Java utilities. Swap. Now pass M data. The necessary parameters to position and from position. Call the M last removed position. I assign -1 to that. That's that for the swipe item. So we're going to have the remove item. To remove, override, public, void, remove item. Passing integer, position, and we're going to have a final concrete. So we're going to extend this class. Concrete data removed item, which is equals to M data remove passing position, just to remove each element, and we call the M last remove data to be equals to the removed item, also M last position to be equals to the position passed in. That's fine. So from here we're going to actually have a static final class. Public static final class called concrete. We're waiting for this class. Data extends data. So now we're going to have fields, private, final. Make sure you make a nested class private so that it's not going to be called out of this because this is a nested class. The concrete data is nested into the example data provider, so you make all the fields private for security purpose, so that other classes like the draggable grid example that I can't just call the concrete data straight up. That's to check out the methods right from the example data provider that communicates with the concrete data. So that's how it works. So put that in mind. MID, private, minor, string, and text. Private, final, long. We have another private, minor, integer, mview type, private, boolean, mpinned. That's cool. So from here we're going to have the concrete data, about we're going to pass the long ID, integer, view type, string, text, integer, swipe, reaction. So right inside the concrete data constructor, you have the MID. Let's initialize equals to ID. And we're going to have the mView type, which will be equals to view type. We're going to have mText, which will be equals to, let's call it make text method. We're going to create that shortly. Pass ID, text, and swipe reaction. So that's set it all. So we're going to create this private static string make text by text long ID string text on the integer, which is the swipe reaction. So we're going to have a final string builder, SB as the object equals instantiated the new string builder. Now let's use the SB to append ID SB append append text return SB string. And we're going to override some other methods here. Firstly, we're going to override section. Header. Important. About we're going to return false. So now I'll need to copy these because we're going to override a few other methods. So I just need to change. This time it's going to be an integer. There is going to be get view type. Get view type. Is going to return view type. You get it, and we're going to override another one. It's going to be a long data type. And it's actually going to be a get ID. So it returns the ID. Let's write another one. This is going to be a string. We're adding the string class, and we should actually call this to string. Going to return text. Going to write the string. That's going to be for the get text. So it's actually going to return text as well. I'm going to override the pinned. So it's going to call is pinned. Which is actually going to return pinned. We have more to override. Just one more. Which is the set pinned. The void that takes in the parameter of a boolean pinned. Now we're going to equate like texts. If pinned equals to pinned. So here we go. So at least we should have all our errors cancelled out. Oh, it's there for the get item. The method does not override the method from its superclass. Okay, so let's look at the abstract data provider that actually gives us this. The abstract data get item. We need an integer index as parameter to actually make that work. So back to it, can you see all cancelled out? So that's cool. We got to move on with what we have. We're going to look at the data provider fragment. So let's quickly include the fragment. We have extents, fragments, and we need to have a private field. That's abstract data provider, mdata provider. To provide, let's have them create public void create bundle save instance state as a properties. We have the super create save instance state. Now we're going to set retain instance to true. Called mData provider equals to new example data provider. And public abstract data provider get data provider. And this time we're going to return m data provider. That's fine. That's for the provider fragment. So we're actually going to look at the drawable utils, the draggable grid example, fragment and adapter. So let's get to implement the drawable utilities. We have a private, static, final, an integer array called empty state. That's fine. So we're going to instantiate with a new integer array and just make it an empty. Let's make that empty, and we're going to have the clear state method public static clear not void and returns no value. Clear state. So we'll pass it the drawable with the object drawable. So let's import this. Let's have the body of this method. So if the drawable is not equals to null, now we're going to set the state as empty. So we'll call the drawable set state, and we'll pass in the integer array, which is empty state. So this way. That's fine. So that is this for the drawable utilities. We'll be looking at the draggable example adapter before we look at the fragment. So let's get to look at the adapter, and we'll get to as well. We'll talk about using the Recyclerview Draggable and so on. So now I want you to follow along. We're actually going to extend. Let me just make it this way. Extends our Recyclerview adapter, and passing draggable grid example adapter. So we're going to create the view order. That will be right in. That's a class we can create later. View order. So that closes this, and we implement the draggable item adapter, and we'll pass in the draggable grid example adapter. Still call on the view order. Close that right there. So these are what we will be needing, and I'll create the structure of this particular application. So we'll first of all have the draggable, which actually make accessible with short name. So let's have the private interface draggable extends draggable item constants. So you have the structure of this. So let's have the private abstract data provider. So we have just initialize as M provider. Let's have the public static class, which is the my view order. That extends the abstract draggable item viewer. So we have the structure of these two that way. We'll get to look at that later on. Now we're still going to have the public draggable grid example adapter. This is a constructor which is going to take in the abstract data provider as parameter. Data provider. So we have this way. We're going to have the sets. We're going to have some other methods anyway. Maybe I should just continue with the code now, so that when we get there, we declare the method use. So let's have a field. Private static final string, which is tag, which equals to my draggable item adapter. Close that right there. So we're going to have another one, which is a private integer m item move mode. Equals to the Recyclerview drag drop manager that calls on the item move mode default. That's fine. So this is empty, the draggable. Now let's pass in values into the view order. You have a public frame layout or M container. You're going to have a public view called M drag handle. We have another public text view called M text view. So right here we're going to have the constructor. We just only declare the fields that we'll be using. My view order, which takes in view and the object, and we'll call the super class as the view. Now let's initialize the M container first. We'll find view by ID based on the frame layout. It's a frame layout. So we'll call the V, which is the object of the view. Find view by ID. R.id, that's container. get the drag handle. It's called the view, find view ID, r.id.drag handle. So I got it from the XML files and text view. The last, just goes to the text view. v.find view ID called Android r.id or text one. Close that right there. So that's that for the view order. So we're going to have the draggable grid example adapter which you've declared. So let's walk right inside the structure, and provider equals data provider set as table IDs to true. Now let's have other methods. Okay, close up all this. So I don't need them directly. So which other method are we looking at here? Let's have a public void set item move mode. Set item move mode. Takes in an integer. Item move mode. So now let's have a structure and item move mode equals to item move mode. That's all. Some other method that we're writing is write the get item ID. So public long get item ID, which is integer position now return and provider get item, passing the position, get ID. So that's fine. Close it out right. Let's have another method. We're going to override this time is going to be the get item view type. Public integer get item view type, integer position, so we're returning the provider get item, passing the position as parameter, and this time it's going to get the item view type. So what other method are we looking at? We're going to have the my view order. Now we're going to override public my view order. Now have the on create view order, passing view group, as a parent, integer, view type. Let's import the view group. So right inside there, we'll call the layout inflator. Inflator equals to layout inflator from parent get context. Fine. Call the view inflator inflate layout. Let's inflate the layout, which is the list grid item parent, and the last parameter is the boolean false. Now we're going to return instantiating my view order and passing the v, which is the view object. This is parameter. That's that for the my view order on create view order method. So now we're going to declare a private static final field as an integer array called empty state. I think we've declared something of this nature before. Okay, that is at the utils, the drawable utils. So let's instantiate new integer array, make it empty. Ready? Now we call on the clear state. I have it right in the drawable utils. Let's copy this guy. Come over there, paste it right there, get an import set. That's for the clear state. Now we're going to have another method called the unbind view order. So we will write public void unbind view order. How about we're going to pass my view order parameter and also its position. So right there we'll declare the final abstract data provider. We call the data called IM called M provider get item passing position. So let's set the text by calling the order dot mText view sets text item and get text. That's all. So we're going to set the background resource whereby we target the view ID, which is the container. Now final integer drag state order get drag state flags. So we're going to test if so we're going to have this if the drag state and draggable state flag is active. Which is actually not equals to 0. Now we pass in the integer bg res id, that resources id. Same if statement is going to come over again. The drag states and draggable state flag is active. It should be updated. State flag is updated. Now this is active, not equals to 0. Call the bg equals to draggable bg item dragging active states. Now we call the clear states about pass the order m container and get foreground. That's fine. So else brother, the drag state and draggable state flag is dragging, not equals to 0. Now you're still going to call the bg as the background resource id equals to the drawable, the bg item dragging state. Okay, that. Now else, call the background society equals to the drawable, bg item normal state. Start. So outside here, call the order, call m container, set background color or background resource, passing bg society. It's fine. That's for the combined view order. Now we're going to get the item count. Very important. So right, we're talking about Recyclerview public integer get item count, empty parameters, return and provider get count. What's that? So we have another method on the way. So right, this time is going to be the move public void on move item. So when you move an item on on the grid. That's what that means. So it's going to be from position to position. Position. So you log the to tag. What's it going to say? On move item from position concatenate with the from position value now to position concatenate to position pass to close this particular one, so you know it's set that way. That's fine. Now let's have our if from position is equals to position return. Let's return. Another if and item move mode equals to Recyclerview Drag Manager item move mode default coordinate provider move item from position to position. That's just the logic behind this, moving from position to position. Notify item changed. Oh, it's going to be item moved. Yes. Moved. And which is from position to position. So you know have the else and provider swap item from position to position. Notify data set shift. So that's just it for this. Now we are wrapping up gradually. Let's have one other method. We need to override as a Boolean method on check start drag. That's the name. Now you call my view order integer position, another integer x and the integer y. That's the coordinate x and y. Return true. Let's have one other method. Let's collapse this. That's override. This method is public item draggable range. So on get item draggable range, which also uses the my view folder objects and position. So it returns null. The last method we'll be talking here will be the uncheck can drop to public boolean uncheck can drop text in integer or dragging position integer of drop position. Returns true. That's it. So can you see that all errors gone? This is just how the layout, which is the grid example adapter, works. And we have the abstract data provider set. We have the Draggable utilities as well. We have the data provider, the data provider fragment, and the main activity. Now we're going to look at the draggable grid example fragment. The draggable grid example fragment. Because of time, I'll just try to copy this here. So this extends the fragment whereby we declare the fields, the Recyclerview, the layout manager adapter, the wrapped adapter, and the Recyclerview drag drop manager. We have an empty constructor for the draggable example fragment, and we have its onCreate method called the set as option menu to be true. We have the onCreate view, that actually inflate the layout, the fragment recycler list view. We've actually created all this layout. And over here in the onView created, whereby we initialize the no inspection constant condition, the drag and drop manager. Over here, initializing the starting dragging after long press. We set initialize on long press to be true to the drag drop manager. We set the initiate on move as false, and we set long press timeout to 750, which is in milliseconds. And we also set up the dragging item effect, about we call the set drag start item animation duration, the alpha and the scale, and also the rotation, so that it's actually going to look slick while dragging. And this is where we call on the adapter, about we create the wrap adapter to the my item adapter that actually wraps up the dragging. And we set the layout manager, we set the adapter, and set the item animator as well. We also have the life cycle of this particular activity on pause. It's actually going to cancel drag. You can see there. On destroy of the view, so it checks if the Recyclerview drag drop manager is not equals to null by releasing. So if the Recyclerview itself is not equals to null, it sets the item animator, it sets the adapter. And if the wrapped adapter is not equals to null, it releases all based on the wrapped adapter parameter. The onCreate option menu is for the menu at the top, which is actually the drag grid. And we set unchecked change listener to this particular menu, which triggers the update item move mode, and pass is checked, if it's either checked or not. So that's just it. And look at the method that is going to trigger at the menu. And it has one parameter, which is the boolean, the swap mode. Is that checked or not? So if the mode based on the swap mode, so it's actually going to call the Recyclerview drag drop if the item move mode swap or the item move mode default, any one of them. So we have the support view elevation based on the build version of the SDK, and also the abstract data provider. We actually use that, and we get the data provider based on the main activity, get the activity, and get the data provider from this particular class, the abstract data provider. The manifest will be simple because we are only pointing at the main activity, which is the launcher, is the entry point to this particular application. So there is no, we don't need any other permission, we don't need internet, we don't need quasar, we don't need to communicate with any other hardware. We just need we set them up. This is a Recyclerview layout, which we actually did a lot of tweak to create a draggable grid. So you can actually use this library to create probably a draggable effect, probably in games or something. You need it to be resized to what the user needs, or to be reset to what your user wants. So that's just how to create this particular layout. So I'm actually going to be showing this the sample in an emulator, and I will as well be uploading the source code to the GitHub link, which I'll be sharing to you in the description section of this particular video. Feel free to drop any message. I'll be there to answer any of your comments. Thank you very much, and stay by for the emulator launch. Now we go with the application, Advanced Recycler Draggable Grid. So we need to actually check the mode. That was the mode we're talking about, to actually activate draggable. And if you should notice, this is actually in grids. Can you see? We have 3 items on the row. So now let me try to create a draggable effect. You notice? You can see me dragging from 5F wants to replace 6. You can see 6 also replaced. I can easily drop this. Okay, let me replace 16 with 1. Can you see that? Now 1 also replace this. Let me replace 17 with this. So you can actually use this. Probably want to play using a chess or something. You can use the draggable effect for the particular pawn that is moving from one level to the other. You can actually use this particular effect in different mode that you feel like suitable. You can see how draggable and how slick it's actually working. Even 40, you can actually pick straight up. That's it. So thank you very much for hanging out with me throughout this tutorial, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a blessed time.